and welcome to another segment of Envision with Dr. Brian Maher, our superintendent in the Sioux Falls School District. The topic today is how we work with lawmakers and the legislature, and obviously school issues often come up during the legislative session. And what's really the role? How often do we communicate with our legislators, and just give folks a feel for what that looks like?
Great point. Well, we're already working that end of things. I think there are a lot of pieces of information that we gather to try to be as well informed as we can be, a consumer of the information that ultimately will take place in peer, but also maybe at times to help influence that information as it works its way through the legislative process. We have a number of groups that we belong to and that we work with. Chief among them is the Chamber of Commerce right here in Sioux Falls. We work very closely with them to get that broader community context of what's good for Sioux Falls. And almost always what's good for Sioux Falls is good for the Sioux Falls Public Schools. So we work very closely with the Chamber in that regard. We also have a School Boards Association that we belong to. We have an Administrators Association that we belong to. We have a group of large school districts in the state of South Dakota that we're very mindful of. And there's another group called the United Group, I think, the USG, that we stay in touch with too, to monitor bills, potential bills, see what we can influence, etc. So those are all some of the ways in the larger context that we stay on top of things that are happening in peer. When you drill down, I think it's important to have those personal relationships too. So we try to, as best we can, get to know our senators and our representatives to help understand where they are and what they're thinking, but also to maybe help provide them some information when it comes to educational issues and how are certain bills going to impact our school district if they work their way through the process. So those big picture groups that we belong to are important, but so are those very intimate relationships that we have with folks that represent us in peer.
Right, and so the district oftentimes, if folks are watching school board meetings, they will notice during the months of January that we're giving a legislative update where we're following particular bills and making opinions on whether we support or oppose or that will remain neutral. And those are always on whatever education topics are out there. So very much watching every move made in peer from afar, but also having a person out in peer that is monitoring that on our behalf as well, and the importance of knowing what bills are where and what the potential are for those bills.
You know, we get to peer as often as we can. The relationships that we have with our own representatives here, we talk to them as much as we can, but we can't be in peer every day. We just we don't have that sort of manpower in the district. So we do have a lobbyist that we work with to help be our ear and our eyes in peer, and that helps us tremendously to stay on top of all of the issues that are happening there. Well, we are still taking care of the day-to-day activities back here. That helps tremendously.
Right. So lots of information will be coming out in January and as the legislative session rolls through. And you know, in all fairness to lawmakers, they have a lot of different topics to address in a very short period of time. The legislative session is not that long, and so you know, as much as information as we can provide is important to the future of our students.
You know, one of the things I really like about the way we're set up in terms of representation in peer is I don't know of any of the folks, at least that I've met, who are necessarily political animals, but they're your neighbors.
Yes,
and that's who we've elected. And I think that everybody, at least that I've talked to, has a pure heart and wants to do what's right. It's just trying to do what's right for everybody. So they've got a very daunting task, but they've been very receptive to me as a new superintendent and to us as a school district. And hopefully you just think that good heads can come up with a good product over time. And I have that optimism as we head into this session.
Very good. Well, we'll see how that all unfolds in the coming weeks and months. Thanks for joining us today on Envision.